The Animal Family, Chapter 4, The Bear. The bear's wet nose was cold and shiny, and he stuck it into everything. He had beautiful fur. It was denser and shinier than the bear skin on the bed even, and it wasn't black, but a soft, deep brown. The palms of his paws were as pink as a man's palms, but fringed with 5 little gray-blue, steely claws. He had one special log that he liked to sharpen them on. The mermaid would feel them and marvel that their pet had such sharp, hard claws. And the hunter seemed gentle to her, too, so that she said to him once, feeling the razory heads on his arrows, "It's queer for you to have sharp things like that." The hunter said with a smile that bared his white teeth, "We've all got them, I guess." "That's right," admitted the mermaid, baring hers. The bear loved for the hunter and the mermaid to pet him or push him or hit him or roll with him over. His motto seemed to be, "Go ahead, it won't hurt me." He would sit up and they would toss the leather ball to him in a gentle art, and he would catch it in his mouth or bat at it with his paws, scrambling after it when he missed it. He sat up and begged very beautifully, and he could walk on 2 legs almost as well as on all 4. When he would walk across the room on his hind legs, he'd reach for something on the table and then cram it into his mouth. He looked like a little boy in a bearskin. But not for long. He grew so fast that they couldn't believe it. By the time the geese flew south that fall, the hunter could barely lift him. It was no wonder that he grew so. Everything they gave him, everything that he came across in the meadow or in the forest or on the beach, he ate. The mermaid said, "Why, if you put his chair in his bowl, he would eat it." Wood rats and meadow mice, meadow grass, buttercups, roots and nuts and seeds and buds, grubs, worms, insects, blackberries and blueberries and raspberries and wild grapes, clams and mussels and crabs, honey and honeybees, any sort of fish they fed him, any sort of meat they fed him. He gulped it all down. They set a place for him at dinner, a bowl and a little low chair like the mermaid's, but without any rockers. At first, they had put his bowl of water on the table, but he always knocked it over. So after that, they left his water in the corner. The bear's table manners were bad, but so were the mermaid's, especially as she couldn't resist throwing the bear pieces of fish. Catching them was what the bear did best. His muzzle would dart out and his teeth would ring shut on them with magical swiftness and certainty, so that you never would have believed how badly he ate out of his bowl. But really all of them ate as they pleased. The hunter would cut off big pieces of meat with his knife, chew away at them and gulp them down, all the while talking eagerly with his mouth full. He had long ago forgotten how his father and mother ate and had made him eat. He had no manners. The bear had no napkin, of course, but neither did the hunter and the mermaid. They wiped their mouths on their arms. At least, though, they didn't lick themselves. The bear licked himself with such big bobbing strokes of his head that he almost lost his balance and fell off his chair. One night the mermaid watched him for a while and said, "He certainly is an inexperienced washer. The more he washes himself, the worse he gets." "The more he washes himself, the worse he looks," said the hunter. "All he does is to get himself wet and rumpled and make his fur stick out all every which way. Well, at least he never washes long." "He never does anything long except eat and sleep," the mermaid replied. This was so. After he had just eaten, the bear had a particularly satisfied, good-humored look. His little eyes would twinkle at them, and he would look round benignantly. But soon his wandering eyes would glaze. His eyelids would steal shut and snap open, and then steal shut again, and he would be fast asleep. "We are too," the mermaid would say to the hunter. "You certainly don't have to think of anything for him to do after dinner." "Not old eat and sleep," the hunter said. The bear began to snore. The mermaid said, "You sound like a walrus." They couldn't help making fun of the bear. It felt good somehow. He sat there like a hill having a nap after dinner, and the mermaid said, yawning, "Having him's very soothing. You get the feeling that nothing can happen to him or you." The bear rolled out of his chair. He took 2 staggering steps toward the fireplace, fell down, and was fast asleep again. "Old eat and sleep," said the hunter contentedly. The bear was a remarkable tree climber. He hung onto the trunk with his front feet and kicked himself up with his hind feet, his paws churning and his claws making big gouges in the trunk. Like some animal that doesn't know how to climb a tree, never has known how to climb a tree, but thinks it will just try anyway, the bear went up the trunk by main force. And he didn't so much climb down as he fell down, interrupting his plunge with 5 or 6 desperate momentary pauses. If it was an autumn day on which he was climbing, he would end up surrounded by nuts and branches, and grunting contentedly would start to gobble up the nuts. One cold late afternoon in autumn, when the hunter came home from the forest, the mermaid met him at the door. Come quick, she said, seizing him by the arm. Her face was worried and miserable. The hunter had never seen her look so miserable. "What is it?" the hunter said. "He's dying," the mermaid said. "I reached in and touched him, and he didn't move. He didn't even know I was there, and he's barely breathing. He takes a little faint, slow breath, and then he doesn't breathe at all. You can count 6 or 7 before he takes another breath." "Oh, Lord," said the hunter. "I knew I should have looked for him when he didn't come home last night. Where is he?" "He's up at the cliff, in the tall cave, the narrow one, the one you can barely get inside," said the mermaid. They hurried off. "Maybe it was another bear, and he crawled there because he was hurt so bad he couldn't get home," the hunter called back over his shoulder. "Was he bleeding much?" "No, not a bit," the mermaid answered. He's... But the hunter, running as fast as he could go, was already too far off to hear her. The mermaid toiled along up the path, and when she got near enough to the cliff to see the cave, the hunter had disappeared. She went to the mouth of the cave and peered inside. The hunter was bending over the bear, feeling him, and the bear didn't move.